My 24M girlfriend, 21F, went on a one-on-one fancy dinner with a single male friend without telling me anything. Did I go too far by ending the relationship for this? First, this has happened a while ago, so it's more of a reflection than a request for advice. Sorry for the long text BTW. I've met my then GF in a college event about 2 years before the title event. We quickly became friends with benefits for almost a year before dating exclusively. Our relationship was going very well from the start, but if I'm being 100% honest, I kind of felt like she loved me more than I loved her, and maybe I was wrong in that. I did love her, cherished her, helped in whatever I could and would be excited to spend time with her, but I was never deeply infatuated with her like I felt that she was with me. So, what happened? Context 1, GF moved states for college, was in a kind of shitty living situation, living with extended family in a small house, and didn't made a lot of friends after moving. She only ever mentioned about 3 friends from our city, and of those only one was a guy, Dan, which attended some classes with her. One day he randomly started following me on IG, I followed him back, that will be important later. He seemed a pretty normal, if not innocuous dude. Context 2, one day GF bought a fancy book called something like 2 for 1. It was a collection of fancy and romantic restaurants and cafes to visit in couples in our town. This book came with 2 for 1 coupons for each of those restaurants. We went to some of those, but even with discounts they were kinda expensive for 2 broke college students. She really wanted to go to some which specialized in seafood, which she loved but I never liked, and we never actually went to. So, for the main fact. About 1 year into the relationship, my GF slept at my place basically every weekend, from Friday to Sunday. But eventually came a weekend when we wouldn't be able to see each other. I had to work late on Friday and had doctor's appointments which would take the entire Saturday, while she had some sort of family gathering in another city. She intended to sleep there from Saturday to Sunday, so if we were to see each other, it would be only late Sunday to dinner. So, on Friday I worked until about 21h30, went home and took a shower. After that, about 22h30, I picked up my phone and started going through my IG stories. Was passing through them mindlessly until something catched my eye, my GF's IG name. I went back and saw it was actually from Dan's stories, a picture of a very nice dinner, with some fancy grilled fish in a red towel, with candles in the table and some drinks. On the other side of the table, the face wasn't visible but I could see part of my GF's body, very well dressed with newly done red nails and a tiny bag I had gifted her, and her IG was tagged along with the restaurant's name. The story had been posted about 3 hours before. Bear in mind that, at that point in time I did not use Instagram a lot. In fact, it would be pretty normal for me to spend days without checking it, and I almost never check stories as well. It was kind of random for me to check it that evening specifically. After about 1 minute of looking at the picture, I put my phone down and started thinking. I wasn't angry or sad or desperate. It was like having another me by my side explaining the situation in third person. I laid down the facts and they looked like this. My GF went on a one-on-one dinner with another guy. I don't know the guy personally, never saw them interact and don't know if he ever showed some interest towards her or vice versa. All I knew is that he was single, straight, and apparently had a crush on a mutual friend of theirs. The place was a very fancy, expensive, and romantic restaurant, and she got the idea from this book which heavily implied it was for couples. For some reason my mind kept thinking that the waiters and other people around definitely looked at them as a couple, and that idea pissed me off. She did not tell me about this dinner before, during or after it. Actually when I saw the IG post she was already at home and ready to go to sleep after all that happened. I found out about this from his post in which he tagged her. Since she didn't say or post anything even hours after the dinner had ended, I was left with a strong impression that, If I never checked out my IG stories that night, or if he hadn't posted the picture, or if he hadn't tagged her, she would never had even mentioned it. I just wouldn't know. I didn't know what I wanted to do with that info. I texted her we should talk, and she immediately replied with, "Oh, is that about the dinner?" and started flooding me with calls. I answered, and she immediately started apologizing and saying that she was sorry that she didn't mention it, that it was unplanned, that they just ate quickly and went home, etc. By that point I hadn't said anything besides texting we should talk, and she went super on the defensive. That gave me the absolute certainty she knew that what she did was sketchy and shady, and knew I would be upset about it. Eventually she said something along the lines of, "I thought you would be pissed if I said I was going," which made me think about her thinking process. I believe she thought that if she asked me before going, I would said I wouldn't be comfortable with that, and either she would have to cancel it or go either way and willingly damage the relationship. She thought it would be easier to just go without saying anything and deal with the aftermatch by feigning ignorance and apologizing, or maybe hoping I never even found out. I didn't scream or cry in the call. I calmly laid the facts from my point of view to her, the list above. She immediately started crying and recognized it was a mistake, said that she allowed him to post the picture because she knew I would have seen it, assured me that nothing happened, he is just a friend, and said she would never do that again. She begged me to go see her that night, which I refused. I just went to sleep and said I would talk to her the next day. Sleeping on it, it actually felt worse. I actually believed her, and still do, that nothing happened between them that night, but I could never be certain. Best case scenario, I was dealing with a girlfriend that acted shady, manipulatively, and disregarded my feelings, and worst case scenario, I was being cheated on. And on the middle there was a lot of possibilities my anxious brain started to consider that weren't exactly great, like, maybe she was testing the waters to see if this guy had any interest in her, to keep him as a second option, or SMTH. That night I cried a bit to sleep, thinking that I didn't want to make that decision. Next day we talked in person. She refused to go to the family gathering, and I thought that if I took her back I would never be able to trust her as I did before. I do have some trust issues, and the relationship just wouldn't be the same. I decided to end it there, which was very tough for both of us but felt like the right call back then. Bear in mind that she was and still is a very nice girl, caring, introverted and romantic, and not the type to cheat mercilessly, at least she doesn't look the part. So, was I unreasonable? Did I overreact, or my boundary was acceptable and I did the right thing ending it off after she trespassed it like that? Move on to the comment. She did hide it? So red flag. She knew it was a mistake once you laid it out. So you had good reason. Hell, she knew it was a mistake before that, since she hid it from him, hoping he wouldn't find out, because if she asked before it happened, he would say no. She knew her ass was toast when he said we have to talk and started on the defensive barrage of nothing happened and all that. Op had very good reasons to walk away. Yep, another case of zero regret until caught. My man, I am so sorry. Good job standing your ground. Your girl knew exactly what she was doing. She didn't realize that what she did was wrong during her conversation with you. This relationship would be toxic for you and affect your mental health badly. Don't feel bad for ending this. Take care, and I wish you strength. Man. She straight up lied to you in your face. More than once. Then lied to you in your face during the apology. Unplanned. You absolutely need reservations to a place like that. She lied. Continued lying. And will continue to lie. You made the smart and right move. Plus she had her hair and nails done per the op. You weren't unreasonable. She knew you wouldn't like it, that's why she didn't tell you. Her reaction when you found out sounds a lot like better to ask forgiveness than permission. She may not have physically cheated, but going to an expensive dinner for two is about like a date. For me that would mean a violation of trust and breaking my boundaries of a committed relationship. You ended it because you felt disrespected. Enough said. At the end of the day she lied and had no intention of telling you the truth. That's a deal breaker. She saw nothing wrong with lying to you, another deal breaker. If she can't be honest, why would you ever trust her? Unless your ex-GF spent all her time made up ready to go to a fancy restaurant, it wasn't a spur of the moment thing. And the fact she chose not to tell you about it is a key point. You enforced a boundary she knew she shouldn't cross, yet did. Well done. Which relationship was she going to risk damaging? Ops or friends? She knew what she did was wrong, period. She's sneaky. It's not an impromptu fancy dinner. Say less. Let her sit on ice for a while. She lied to you multiple times and then went with the old "my bad, won't happen again." Which means nothing, of course. A reasonable person could go either way between breaking up and another chance, but I don't blame you at all for walking away. Nope, she went on a date while dating you, it was inappropriate and she knew it, so she kept it a secret. She needs to learn loyalty. I think you had solid grounds for it. You're red on the reality of how she handled it. That she chose to make the mistake and try and deal with the fallout later is spot on, and yeah, you'd likely spend the rest of whatever relationship you had left waiting for the next time it happened again. Sometimes trust can be broken even if nothing bad necessarily happened. If anything, the fact she lied over something that easily could have been avoided, just explaining she didn't want to waste the voucher so she is going with a friend, means she will choose lying over communicating, and yeah, that is bad in and of itself whether anything else happened or not. Good on you, bro. You stood up for yourself. Other fish in the sea anyway. First of all, you are free to end a relationship at any time for whatever reason or even for no reason. It's up to you and you will always be right with it. In that case it's also very understanding, would definitely have done the same without thinking over it for a second. There's a saying that goes something like, I could pray and ask God for a bike, but it would be easier to steal that bike now and ask God for forgiveness instead. Basically her thought process. I mean, for some people, it might have not been breakup worthy. For you it was. For some people, they would see it as a learning experience and a reason to go to therapy or something. You decided that your trust had been broken and could not be re-established in a meaningful way. It sounds like it was right for you. And that's all that matters. And personally, though it's simple for me since I have no connection to her, I feel like you may have made the right choice. As an aside, the "it was unplanned" is an utter lie. She didn't just happen to be dressed to the nines. Part of me wonders if this was some poorly thought out test that she didn't really comprehend until the results were in front of her. She let him post the pic, but didn't mention it to you. That's just bizarre. Then again, 21. 20-somethings do dumb shit sometimes. If she had no shady intent, and was just naive or emotionally immature, she has now learned a sad but critical lesson about communication and trust. You did right. She hid it so she knows it wasn't appropriate. I didn't have to read the whole post, just the title, "My man, you did the right thing." FK that disrespect shit, she was out fishing for sure. Just ate quickly and went home, yet I don't think that's exactly how it happened. If you stayed you would have to become someone who snooped and was always on guard. Who has time for that? Nope. You did the right thing. Glad you didn't waste any time doing it. She knew what she did was not something you would be comfortable with. So she thought you would just roll over and take the disrespect. I do not understand why women think it is okay to go on a date with a male friend. Or vice versa. Then when you justifiably have an issue with it, they want to gaslight you by calling you insecure or controlling. While I am sure it hurt, you absolutely did the right thing. Yep, you made the right call for sure. Even if she didn't do anything physical, she definitely wanted his attention and went on a date with him. She hid it from you, lied, and then once caught tried to minimize it. Trust was broken and not easy to be regained. She probably learned a valuable lesson, as did you. My name, my name, my name, no no no. Sorry, this reminded me of a different story. Your girlfriend went on a date with another guy and conveniently hid it from you. She got the seafood dinner she was looking for but not with you. I think it's worse than physical cheating. By the sounds of it, it was romantic and must have been expensive. You know your worth and definitely didn't overreact. I don't need to read any of this. You are absolutely in your right to end a relationship for any reason whatsoever. This is your life, don't do things that don't make you happy. You laid out the best case scenario yourself, mate. And even that was a clear deal breaker. Things would never have worked with her. Yeah. That's effed up. She went on a date and tried to play a bunch of mind games. Hope to this day she still sees how bad she screwed herself. You did exactly the right thing. People in committed relationships can't act like they are single. I don't put myself in situations where my loyalty can be questioned. Simply out of respect for my partner. You're rethinking because you naturally remember the good things but you don't remember the feeling of being betrayed and being disrespected. It is perfectly okay to want to date a woman who has the same standards of fidelity and loyalty that you do. It's not helpful to keep ruminating negatively about something from your past. That can become a bad mental habit that causes depression. I don't understand. She was a FWB that you only went exclusive with recently. You said she cares about you more than you cared about her. You wouldn't go to the seafood place that she wanted to. Then got pissed when another friend took her to dinner. Now everyone is saying you were right breaking up with her. She never gave you a reason to not trust her and you took your own insecurities and dumped. Yeah, makes sense. You did her a favor by breaking up with her. You need to work on your trust issues and anxiety. If you do not heal from your trauma you will bleed on people who didn't cut you. Only went exclusive with recently. WTH, does that mean to you a 30-day trial? When I dated my now wife she didn't want to go the football game. Should I take a female friend instead? He's pissed that she went to a restaurant with a friend. The friend posted on his IG where the boyfriend is friends with him. Yeah, he did he's a favor by breaking up with her. Sure, take a friend as long as your wife is okay with it. This. Women and men are allowed to be friends. Anyone who says different is waving a big red flag. Op even says that the dude was into someone else. Sounds more like he's mad his property, that he didn't even want, was going to a restaurant he wouldn't with someone that wasn't him and also likely had a penis, even though he admits the dude wasn't into his girl. The fact she hid the fact she was going to dinner another guy is more than enough reason not to trust her. Plain and simply. Her. Plain and simply. Her. Plain and simply.